Well, good morning and welcome to Edinburgh's Armed Forces Day 2019. My name is Mark. You sure? Okay. My name is Mark McKenzie from Forces Radio BFBS. I've got two responsibilities today. One is to introduce some fantastic live entertainment for you. The other was to sort the weather. Hang on, just give me a second. I think I've just about got that bit right. Now, before we get underway officially, I would like to call myself your host, but actually that honour falls to Edinburgh City itself. And please welcome the Right Honourable Lord Provost of Edinburgh, Frank Ross.
Good morning, and I'm delighted to be here today to welcome you to celebrate Edinburgh's Armed Forces Day here in the heart of our capital city in these fantastic gardens. Today's event gives Edinburgh the opportunity to show our support for the men and women who make up the Armed Forces community, recognising and celebrating the outstanding contribution of those who serve and who have served in Her Majesty's Armed Forces, from currently serving troops to service families, from veterans to cadets and reservists, and all our ex-forces personnel. Armed Forces Day acknowledges the personal sacrifices they have made to defend the UK and its interests. We owe an incredible debt of gratitude to these brave men and women. They are the ultimate protectors of our peace and security, and indeed our whole way of life. As a garrison town, Edinburgh has a proud history of supporting Armed Forces Day, having staged the UK's National Armed Forces Day event in 2011. Salisbury in Wiltshire has the honour to host the national event this year on the 29th of June, and we wish them good luck and good weather. Now, as you make your way through the garden today, you will see there are a number of stalls with information on the important work and support that our Armed Forces, veterans and ex-forces personnel charities provide. We thank them for taking part in today's event and helping to show members of the public the excellent and tireless work they do in supporting our Armed Forces community. The Council is extremely proud to continue its support for the Armed Forces veterans and ex-forces personnel through the Community Covenant. And as Veterans Champion, I was delighted to further strengthen our commitment earlier this year as we signed an Armed Forces Covenant for Business during a special event in the City Chambers on the 5th of March. This is incredibly important to Edinburgh, which is home to an estimated 40,000 veterans and ex-forces personnel, 1,500 serving personnel and 500 cadets. The Armed Forces Covenant for Business recognises quite clearly the value that serving personnel, reservists and their families bring to our organisation and to our communities. Recognising our enduring commitment to the Armed Forces as a city, I was pleased to establish a Lord Provost Commission for Edinburgh earlier this year with the clear mission to support service personnel and their families with the transition into civilian workforce and civic life of our capital city. With representatives from all three services, the Scottish Veterans Commissioner and Council officers, we will work to provide greater coordination, cooperation and information for ex-forces personnel. As part of this work, we are in the process of creating a new guide for Edinburgh's service community to provide a starting point for useful information about housing and welfare services, military and civic support for those who have served, are serving personnel and their families. We are fortunate to have so many people in our city who are working together to help prevent people from being disadvantaged as a result of their service. And I hope this guide will help to highlight the support which is on offer. An example is the Council's housing service, where time spent in the forces is recognised as years of tenure. And if you are a veteran and declare yourself to us within 3 years of leaving the forces, we can count this service as residency in Edinburgh. Now, any organisation or charity can sign the Armed Forces Covenant too and publicly make their own promise of support. I hope to see many Edinburgh-based businesses doing just that and following our lead. Because by encouraging integration between local communities and the armed forces, we can strengthen the work we do to address the issues affecting service personnel in areas such as health, well-being, employment and housing. I would like to thank all the veterans, serving officers, cadets and the Armed Forces charities for participating in our event today. On behalf of the City, I would like to extend my thanks to every one of you here for joining us to celebrate, thank and show our support for Edinburgh's Armed Forces personnel, past and present. I would now like to invite Major General Riddell-Webster, on the occasion of his last official duty, to say a few words to the parade. Major General.
Well, good morning to you all. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate you all for a magnificent march past. It was so really good to see so many different regiments, different services represented as you marched past particularly smartly, and to see the cadets, which was great too. And I'd like to, on your behalf, thank the City of Edinburgh and the Lord Provost for Edinburgh's unfailing support for this particular event. It's really important for us of the services to have the unequivocal support of the community from which we come. And for us here in Scotland to have that from our capital city is particularly important. So we are very, very grateful to the City of Edinburgh, and on your behalf, let me thank them. Today is not really meant to be about remembrance at all, but I did think that it would perhaps be slightly remiss, as we have just passed the 75th anniversary of D-Day, just not to reflect slightly on what else was going on, because whilst we all focused on D-Day, it would be worth remembering that the 8th Army and the Americans were fighting their way up just north of Rome. The then Lieutenant General Slim's army was fighting its way out of Kohima and Imphal, and the Russians were about to launch a huge offensive on the Eastern Front. So whilst D-Day was, of course, particularly important, so were all those other events going on at the same time. They were playing their part then, and of course our forces will continue to play their part today, as we are still on operations all around the world. And you, the veterans, and your support for our currently serving forces is and will remain incredibly important. So once again, thank you all very much indeed for turning out and supporting this event today. Thank you very much. Yes, please, Garrison Savage. Thank you very much indeed.